Other than RPGs, a game that is largely narrative focused isn't really my cup of tea. Once in a while I'll play one and enjoy it, but most of the time they don't appeal to me that much. Well, here I am pulling some from my wishlist that feature demos during Steam's Summer 2025 Next Fest. For those who don't know, Next Fest is an event that allows potential players to try out demos from a ton of upcoming games off their wishlist, or finding and trying new games they've never heard of. I'm going to give some coverage this Next Fest, starting with 3 upcoming narrative adventure games. Let me know what your thoughts are, or what you've played from Next Fest in the comments below. Without further ado, let's get to it. The demons told me to make this game captured my interest with solely the name alone, so obviously they did a good job there. However, the game itself brings a rather unique setting that brings in spirit possession, time loops, and a dash of cosmic horror. Players take the role of the Dark Wisp, which is an entity that exists in the void. In order to manifest themselves in our reality, it needs to possess people with a few caveats. The person in question needs to be in somewhat physically or mentally weakened state, and the spirit needs to know their name. Except for the very first guy, which is a little weird, but I'm guessing we'll learn more as the story goes on. And as for that very first possession, his name, as others eventually call him, is Tape. And he's tied up in some lady's trailer because she thinks he's a demon that killed her friends. The lady, Gum as she's called, hunts demons and other monsters. Although they're not demons in the traditional sense. All around our reality are other planes of existence. And just about all those other realities are, in fact, horrific nightmare worlds where all the foul beasts and horrific entities live.
Just what is this thing?
Chaos. Chaos in the flesh.
So, that dash of cosmic horror I mentioned. Anyway, the player has to navigate their way through the story by possessing different characters and going through each section as that person. Along the way, they'll find out new traits about their host and gain knowledge as to what will happen. This is important because there are many cases where your host will end up getting themselves killed. Like when I had Gum pet this adorable, or not so adorable, demon dog thing and then ended up getting her impaled. When things like this happen, you could jump in at an earlier point in time to try and remedy the situation. Furthermore, in order to push these people to do things they might not normally want to do, you have a battle of wills. This is a minigame that largely has you doing time button presses. There are extra elements to it, like how much willpower the host has, and if you have a dictation word that could skip the minigame altogether. It wasn't particularly engaging, but it was something there to break up all the reading. As a fan of cosmic horror and just horror in general, I really liked the setting here. Additionally, I thought a lot of the dialogue writing was good and actually chuckled a few times at some of the funnier, zany options, like the aforementioned petting of the demon dog. If you find this interesting as well, then you could try the demo, assuming it's still up if you're watching past Next Fest, or wait until this July when it's released. Some of you may know that I have aspirations of being an indie game dev and do that on the side. Currently working on my own game right now, but, well, hopefully I'll be able to share something on that soon. Anyway, if you know that, then you may also know that I helped work on a narrative adventure title called The Siege of Jeomdo. I was quite excited to find out that the good people at Studio Hip Sword submitted a demo for this summer's Next Fest. Players find themselves in the role of Dujum, a retired war veteran who has recently arrived in Jeomdo to live a quiet life. That changes when a warship of the hostile Gonchurian Empire is spotted near their waters. All of a sudden, Dujum finds himself thrusted into the impossible task of leading the defense of the small island village of Jeomdo against impossible odds. Along the way, you meet an eclectic cast of characters that make up the island's inhabitants. People like Moon-Su, a monk who believes in pacifism despite the war raging around him. Ashvinder, a warrior from a far-off place where everything about him is foreign other than the shared desire to spill Gonchurian blood. And Jiho, a simple ceramics crafter who wants to care for his family. Obviously, throughout the game, you'll learn more about these characters and certain actions will affect Dujum's relationships with these people. Additionally, the Siege of Jeomdo has a time mechanic. The clock is always turning, and the next fight or problem is always on the horizon. Each day is split into chunks of time, and players need to assign certain tasks for the day and complete their own tasks. These could be delegating things like developing specific upgrades for the village and conducting scouting missions, or having a meeting with various townsfolk. Of course, Dujum can also have people gather resources and make sure villagers are training, which raises your supplies and resolve currencies. These currencies are used for some of those aforementioned tasks, but are also utilized in battle. If the player doesn't have certain resources or upgrades, then some of the fighters may not be able to perform as well in particular narrative choices during the fight. This means that tasks have to be meticulously planned out, and some quests or actions may not be completed in time. Otherwise, you end up like me, with unfinished preparations and barely any resolve right before going to battle. Having worked on this project, it's an absolute joy to finally see it take shape into what it is now, and I'm looking forward to the full release. If you're interested, then you'll be able to check out the demo, which I hear will stay up a bit longer past Next Fest if you don't happen to find the time in these next few days. And for all others, the Siege of Jeomdo has a tentative release for later this year. Before I get into the final game, if you're enjoying the video or found it helpful, then please consider giving this video a like and subscribing for more video game coverage from Next Fest and beyond. In a bit of a departure from the previous two games is Dispatch, which answers the question of what you'd get if you mix 911 Operator with storytelling elements from games like The Wolf Among Us or Tales from the Borderlands. The last two games being important because some of the developers at Ad Hoc Studio worked on those games, so you might have an idea of what to expect here. Dispatch follows Robert Robinson. Yeah, that's his name.
Hey team, this is your dispatcher, Robert Robertson. I'm starting my first shift.
Tell me that's not your real first
Stuttering,
name.
bitch! You can't be this shook on your first day, come on!
Can we clear the channel, please? There's a lot of overlapping on this.
He used to be a big shot hero, Mecha Man. That is, until his suit gets destroyed in a fight, and now he's just a guy. Just a guy who gets hired on to be a superhero dispatcher. Except, his not quite the Avengers team is actually a bunch of ex-supervillains who are in a rehabilitation program. Each of these heroes have their own quirks and unique personalities, and some even have history with the main character.
Do you know who we saw in the bar last night? Mecha Man.
And he kicked Flambe's ass.
Okay, that little shit did not kick my ass.
You did though.
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
No, you didn't, because it didn't happen, Bob. So we're all going to shut up about it, yeah? Okay.
However, they also have stats that come into play when you need to dispatch heroes to different calls, making each suited for various tasks. Furthermore, they have their own passive abilities, making who you select even more important. Successful dispatches earn the hero's experience, which is used to level the heroes up in their various stats. There was also a hacking minigame that was mainly just a series of button presses. There was a little bit of thought with trying to unlock the right paths to reach objectives, but it was fairly straightforward. Perhaps this will get more difficult as the story develops, but I imagine it's there to, once again, break up the storytelling. The storytelling and dialogue is excellent, and has a cinematic feel very similar to many Telltale games it was inspired by. All of it's completely voice acted with a great cast lineup. The whole thing felt like I was watching a show rather than actually playing a video game. I think if there was anything I'd like is the ability to extend the dialogue timer, or remove it completely when needing to choose an option. I know it's supposed to keep us on our feet and make us choose dialogue impulsively, but I kinda hate that. Other than that, everything here made me want more. I'm a bit sad the demo was only about 30 minutes. If this looks interesting to you, then once again, try out the demo. For those waiting for the full release, it only states 2025, so at least it will be sometime this year. If you manage to play any of these demos or any other games, then let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't, then let me know if these look like something you'd be interested in, or if you have any other questions. I hope this video helped you in some small way, and if it did, then please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, or whatever it is you feel like doing. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.